Hi, everyone. Welcome to A4's Town Hall Memoir. I'm Lisa Gold, executive of A4, executive director. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We're really happy to be here at BRIC. I am really grateful. This is our third town hall that we've hosted at BRIC. They're always fun. And how many of you have been to BRIC before? Couple, okay, like maybe half. All right, that's great. Well, we're gonna, BRIC. Yeah, BRIC, where we are. So our host tonight, BRIC, there's the video, and then I'll introduce Fred to say a few more words. Okay, let's run the video first. Do you want to say a few more words?
Just a few words.
Excellent.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to BRIC in Brooklyn, and I am Fred Brown. I'm one of the senior producers, supervising producers here for BRIC TV, but also for the past year have been the DEI liaison. So welcome once again. Can I just get another quick show of hands, just for data for our purposes of how many people have been at some BRIC event in the past? Okay, that's more than half. And then how many people are familiar with Celebrate Brooklyn in Prospect Park? Okay, you all are family at this point. It's been a pleasure hosting the Asian American Arts Alliance for a 3-part series, Town Hall. One of the good things is that you got a chance to really see the different spaces that we have available. We'd also encourage you to go online to bricartsmedia.org, everything that you need to know. And then as creatives, you really want to also know about the classes that are being offered to community producers. You know, you go in, you take them online, some are in person. They range from graphic design to studio, as well as field production, documentary making, etc. And once you certify at a very low cost or no cost, you are then able to get access to that equipment. And then your product immediately goes back on the cable channels that we are commissioned to populate. So it's really a win-win. So I encourage you not only to take advantage of the fun stuff, but go ahead and really tap into the creative resources and enjoy your evening. Thank you again for becoming a part of the BRIC family. Thank you, Lisa. And we would be remiss also if we didn't mention that, you know, this is a team effort. We call it One BRIC. And none of these events, either in the studio or down here, would happen without a team of people, including our production and operations team. So we want to recognize the internal support that we get to make all of this happen. And tonight, your house manager is Stephanie, so see her if you got any complaints, not me. Nonetheless, please enjoy, have a great time, and thank you for joining us throughout 2024, and we look forward to having you join us again in 2025. Thanks, Lisa.
Great, thank you so much. How many of you have been to a town hall before? Okay, a good number. Okay, so just real quick, we'll go back to the slideshow. So A4, for those of you who don't know us, we are a 41-year-old nonprofit service organization dedicated to ensuring greater representation, equity, and opportunities for AAPI artists and arts organizations across all creative disciplines. And Town Hall is one of the ways we do that. We do that through resource sharing, community building, promotion, and Town Hall is a great way to plug into a network of incredible creators in New York City. So this is one of our favorite events. It happens every other month, like clockwork. So there'll be another one in January, another one in March. So if you're not on our mailing list, please sign up so you don't miss one. They're a lot of fun. I'm gonna just do a few protocols before we start. So obviously we're recording. Please silence your phones if you haven't already. If you need restrooms, they're out the door to the left and down the stairs. There is free Wi-Fi. It's just Brick Guest, so you can get on there. So if you want to take photos, just tag us. Okay, so many of you have been here and you know how we're going to roll, but in case you haven't been here, I'm just going to do a little quick rundown. So we have two featured presenters that I'm very excited to introduce, Alvin Eng and Carrie Sun, who are going to be talking about their memoirs. So we have the two featured presenters, and then we have two groups of 2-minute pitches. So everybody who signed up in advance for a 2-minute pitch, we'll have our first featured presenter, and then we'll do the 2-minute pitches, then we'll do our second featured presenter, and then we'll do more 2-minute pitches. And then after everybody who's pre-registered has gone, if you have something you want to share or have a question or whatever, you can just sign up on a sheet on the door back here. And you can do a 30-second pitch, and we'll go in order of your sign up there. So hopefully I'll be able to read that with my glasses on from over here. So for those of you who are doing 2-minute pitches, I have a timer. So I will be timing you, and there's a countdown clock, so you will know when your time is up. So please try to stick to your time so that everybody gets equal amount of time to go. We're all about equity here. And also be ready to go when your name is called or in your order, so that, again, people can take full advantage of their 2 minutes. Okay, so then after we're all done, we're going to ask you to do a very quick survey, but it's going to be worth it. So we just want to get your feedback on how it went, or what you'd like to see, or any ideas that you might have. We have some really awesome swag bags as prizes, so I'll show them to you while you're filling out the survey. It's an online survey. There's a QR code at the end. Just fill it out. Seriously good stuff in there. And okay, so we're going to post, we're recording. It will be posted on tonight's YouTube, on A4's YouTube channel, so you can relive the joy and splendor of this town hall. And the survey accessed via QR code, we really appreciate that. And also, we'll send out the slideshow. So if you wanted to connect with somebody, or you missed their website or their handle or whatever, if you pre-registered for this, you will get the slideshow in the mail, so you can follow up. Just a couple updates on some upcoming A4 events. On Tuesday, December 2nd, we have a professional development program for dancers, dance artists. It's like an Ask Me Anything format. We call it Table Dish because it's a career roundtable, and we have 6 AAPI dance leaders who will dish insider information on how to be a successful dance artist, how to move your career forward. So you can ask them anything, and they're really great people. The head of the Gold House Foundation, Phil Chan, who's being honored by Dance NYC this year, Amy Santos, who's the head of Battery Dance Festival. A whole bunch of really great people to meet and talk with. So you can sign up for that on our website. We also have, on December 12th, I don't know, how many of you know that we publish an online magazine? A Couple. Okay, so we publish an online magazine. It's called The AMP, and this year we are celebrating our second anniversary with a second print issue. Hi.
Sorry.
Hi, welcome.
We're accommodating one of your presenters.
Oh, fantastic, thank you.
So this can be used.
Excellent, thank you so much. So The AMP is an online magazine that you can access from our website, aaartsalliance.org/magazine. And on the 12th, we will have a holiday party with our editor, Shannon Lee, and two of our contributors. There'll be dumplings and drinks. It'll be a lot of fun. So you can sign up for that on our website, too. Everybody, including my dog, loves to read The AMP. Let's see. And then on Sunday, December 15th, one of our fellows, our Gina Wong fellow, Canon Sugino, is going to present her performance at Triskelion, and it's a combination of her travel to Japan and the work that she did during her fellowship. And you'll also be able to see her perform in the AAPI Dance Festival. So every year we put together a showcase of incredible AAPI dancers that we present during APAT, the Association of Performing Arts Professionals. It's a huge conference that happens in New York City in January. So we have 2 days, 6 dance companies, at Ailey Studios on Saturday and Sunday, January 11th and 12th. So you can get more information about that on our website. But it's always inspiring and fun and great to see that. So those are our upcoming programs. If you are not on our mailing list, you should be, because you get a bi-weekly newsletter that tells you about all the great things, not only that we're doing, but incredible opportunities and events that are happening in the community. So we have a calendar that's free to use. So if you have an event, you have a reading, you have anything you want to share with the community, it's free just to post it. Like I said, we also have this opportunities list, which is our best visited, most highly visited page on our website. So it lists grants, opportunities, jobs, residencies, all sorts of things. So you can check that out too. And then, as always, I just need to thank all of the great supporters who make Town Hall possible, including Con Edison, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, with the partnership of the City Council, the New York State Council on the Arts, in partnership with the support of Governor Kathy Hochul and the New York State Legislature, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Howard Gilman Foundation, Ford Foundation, and many generous individuals just like you, like some of you who made a very sweet donation when you registered, so thank you. And also, great big thanks to our team here tonight, A4, Rehana Lumirza, who you know if you registered for a pitch, Grace Blackbar, our Anjali, a memorial intern, Jenna, memorial intern, and Stephanie Shin at the front desk, who you saw when you checked in. So just one quick land acknowledgement before we start, that we acknowledge that the land that we are currently on, politically designated as New York City, is actually the homeland of the Munsee and Lenape peoples, who were violently displaced as a result of European settler colonialism over the course of 400 years. The Lenape are diasporic people who remain closely connected with this land and are its rightful stewards. As an organization that focuses on the rights of underrepresented people and in solidarity with Indigenous people, we recognize this history and uplift the sovereignty of Indigenous people and territory, and we commit to dismantling ongoing settler colonial practices and their implications in this world, like what is happening right at this moment. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first featured presenter, Alvin Eng. Alvin is a native New York City author, playwright, educator, performer, and currently the New York Public Library Fellow, and he's working on a companion to his memoir, which he's going to probably talk about tonight. His plays and performances have been seen all over the place, from off-Broadway to Guangzhou. So I will give you Alvin Eng.
Hello. Actually, this is my first book event in Brooklyn, so it's great to be here. So here we go. Okay, how I became a stage-to-page memoirist in 10 minutes. So we'll try to get that done here. And if it gets done in 8 minutes, we'll have time for questions. Okay, we'll start first with my first memoir. It's called Our Laundry, Our Town, my Chinese-American life from Flushing to the downtown stage and beyond. So the Our Laundry part is, yes, my family had a Chinese hand laundry. Yes, I guess back in the 20th century, most immigrant families were either laundry owners or restaurant owners, right? So we had the laundry, and that's me when I was on the cover. Just go back a second. That's me when I was 6, with my mother there in the laundry, and so that was us then. And yeah, so that gets it. This is us at the World's Fair, 1964, and and the funny thing is, even people can't believe it now, but when I was growing up, we were one of the few Asian families in Flushing, if you could believe that.
Yeah.
People, yeah, you see, people cannot believe that now. They ask me for proof or something like that. Well, I'll show you. So that's our laundry side. So growing up then, being one of the few Asian families there, I regret it now, but I rebelled. I didn't learn to speak Chinese. I didn't want to know about that. And then so I was a misfit among misfits. But then so the our laundry part of the book really talks about that growing up in Flushing. But it was a very Jewish section. So every Saturday of the 8th grade, I was dancing the horror at a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah somewhere. So it was a very, very different experience. But then the Our Town part comes. This was on the cover. That was there with my mom. In the memoir, she's called the Empress Mother. So there's that. But then the Our Town part comes in. That's my father, and I'm holding a plate there. Oh, there's so many more slides than I remember. Okay. So then the Our Town part comes about finding the arts. This is me as I became a performer. This is my punk rap character from the '80s called the Gung Hey Kid, and I'm happy to say this is a punk rap musical, and it was the first theatrical work written by an Asian American to be performed at the historic Nuyorican Poets Cafe. So I'm very proud of that, and that's also you can stay with it for a second. Oh, and this is before Photoshop. That's actually little window things that hang in the window. So. And so I was trying to find my identity with finding the first through punk and then to rap. And I was very lucky that being a total misfit, that in the late 70s, early 80s, that suddenly the punk scene and with the rap scene, suddenly all the misfits fit in somewhere. So that was a very great thing for me. So I started finding my way through the arts. So this is me as that character. And now next slide, please. Oh, we're going to go past this right now. And then yes, and then so I started playing in punk bands, and I realized I still love my 3.5 chords, but I realized that I had more facility with words than with music. So I started really writing, and that, luckily at this time, the theater scene had a lot of performance art, and that led me to and a lot of these performance artists. They were really influenced by punk rock and the downtown culture. And in my old age now, I call myself an acoustic punk raconteur, but we'll get into that in a moment. And next slide, please. And then this is the Gung Hey Kid from the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. And it should be one after. Yes, and then what brings the book full circle is this is my character. In a previous life, I was the last emperor of Flushing. And that was my unofficial title. And what happened was after my parents passed away, to try to remember them, I was really inspired by the play Our Town. That's why the book is called Our Laundry, Our Town. But then what made me feel less of a theatrical outsider was in researching to teach a class on it, I realized, I learned that Our Town, the Thornton Wilder play that's right now back on Broadway, it has a lot of Chinese artistic influence, because Thornton Wilder's father was a consul general to Hong Kong and Shanghai. So there's a lot of theatrical influence in that. So I will stick with that. So I wrote this play called The Last Emperor of Flushing, and then with my wife Wendy, who's here, we got to teach a Fulbright specialist residency at City University of Hong Kong, where we taught the students about Our Town, and then they wrote and performed their own plays in response. And I love when they first heard about Our Town, they asked, all these New England families, are they also from arranged marriages? It's like, in many ways, they kind of were, those old New England families. So what a full circle is. As part of that residency, I was invited by the U.S. consulate in Guangzhou to perform The Last Emperor of Flushing in our family's ancestral Guangdong province. So that brings the whole book and that sort of cycle of full circle. So as I talked about, so I'm a playwright first. So in many ways, we often hear about page to stage and different things, but I really go from stage to page, because the foundation for this memoir was I write plays in 2 modes. I write fictional multi-character plays. Then I write monologue plays that are really nonfiction and mostly self-referential. Like I really was the last emperor of Flushing. So So they're self-referential, and that became the foundation for that piece, so for that first book. And as Liz mentioned, I'm currently a New York Public Library Fellow, and I'm developing my second stage-to-page memoir. And this is it's based on in my acoustic punk rock and tour piece. It's called "Here Comes Johnny Yen Again," or "How I Kicked Punk." And it's through monologues and songs. I talked about how. As a teenager, again, looking for any sort of Asian representation, when I first heard that Iggy Pop song, Lust for Life, and its opening line, "Here comes Johnny Yen again," I thought, Johnny Yen? Could this be a Chinese or Asian punk artist or punk scene? And so I learned later on that they made this amazing song, but Johnny Yen is not their creation. They were paying homage to that singular icon of queer and junkie literature, William S. Burroughs. I said, let's find out more about this. And then but later on, I found out that my grandfather was an opium overdose. So if this were a recipe, I guess what it kind of is, those are the ingredients I'm starting with, and I'm stirring the pot from there. So I'm researching at the library the profound impact of both opium and the opium wars on the Chinese diaspora to New York City, but also on the late 70s punk counterculture scene. So I'm putting that all together and seeing where that goes. So right now it exists as a stage piece called "Here Comes Johnny Yen Again," or "How I Kicked Punk." It has songs and monologues. And now I'm adapting that into my second nonfiction memoir book, and that'll be, right now that's called "Urban Oracle Bones." I feel like a lot of Chinese writing began from oracle bones, so that's where we started. So I'm in the process of working on that, and I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me. So that's what it is. So in many ways too, I feel like because playwriting is my first medium, if you will. I tend to visualize things and map it out there. But then after years of being in bands and having performances, I felt like and touring, I felt like I want to make an album now. I want to make an album or a film, a more permanent record of this, if you will. So that made me say, okay, and the monologue form, to me, it lent itself very closely to a narrative form on a book. And I just love the intimacy of a book. Obviously, there's something beautiful about all being in the same room, and to me, theater and all performances is literally common ground. We're all in the same room, breathing the same air. But then I love the idea of making a book or a film where people experience it in their own space and in their own time. So I just love that, and just the idea of being a more permanent record. That led me to start adapting some of my plays into books. And I think after this, I might start looking at some of my fictional plays and maybe attempt my first novel. So that's what that is. But whether it's on the stage, the page, I feel like, or in the streets, it's all about making our voices heard. And activism is at the core of all of this, really standing up for ourselves. And I think in many ways too, like how my book came to be published by Fordham University Press. Luckily, the person who became my acquiring editor, we met through activist circles. And so that's how that came about. And I think activism has changed my life twice. Like back in the 90s, I followed David Henry Wong onto the Miss Saigon protests, and that changed my life, because I think out of that and out of the Miss Saigon protests, and then on a much more severe note, and then after the 2020 reckoning, after of course the tragic murder of George Floyd, and then the subsequent tagging of us as the Asian flu and everything, and all the anti-Asian hate crimes, there was a hunger to get our stories out. So I think it's really, again, with the stage, page, and the street, it's all a matter of making our voices heard. And I think after these big things happen, there's an outreach. Like luckily people are open to it. Like after the Miss Saigon protests, I became the first Asian American student in NYU's musical theater graduate writing program. So I'm glad that rather than double down and saying, no, we're right about Miss Saigon, they said, no, we're wrong. And they went out of the way to recruit Asian American playwrights and librettists and composers. So I guess no one else is available, so they took me. So I became the first student there too. And so I'm very happy about that. So I think, so that's, I see no matter what medium it is, it's really all about amplifying our voices and telling our stories. And I think just to create a big dialogue, I think, we don't need to categorize ourselves, but I think if there's one category that I think we all fit into, I love being a New York City writer, New York City artist. And so there's that, and of course being an Asian American artist too. So so I think that's pretty much how I became a stage-to-page memoirist. And let's see, I think we still have time. Make sure we got that. Got everything in there. Yes, I think pretty much it. So I'm happy to take some questions if you want to. I'm happy to ask.
Yeah, if there don't have any questions, questions now and you think of them later, we obviously have a networking session after everybody goes, so.
And, oh yes, yes. So the book's on sale with the QR code, and also it's only $20. So tonight's $25. No, I'm just kidding. So it's only $20. So tonight's $15. And they're available here, but credit cards only. So that's too bad. Oh, thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alvin. And make sure you get that book. Yeah, it's new paperback, right? That's new.
Yes, yes. It's in
Yeah,
yes.
okay. All right, so now we're going to start with our round of 2-minute pitches. So I'm going to ask people, actually, if you don't mind coming up here so we can go in order. We're going to start with Mohammed, and then Edward, and then Georges, and Abigail, and Rohan. So we'll start with Mohammed. You want to, and I will, wait to start until I send you here.
You all right?
Yeah.
All right. I don't, did I say something? Can you click through? Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's great, thank you. No, that's wonderful. All right. Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. First off, thank you, A4, for inviting me and for hosting this town hall. These are wonderful events, and we should take advantage of them. Thank you, Brick, for allowing us to be here, and thank you, Alvin, for sharing your experience. I also like to think of myself as a New York City writer, too. Hi, everybody. I'm Hamad Saleh. I'm the programs manager at the Asian American Writers Workshop. The Asian American Writers Workshop is a literary nonprofit that operates out of an event and office space in Chelsea on 27th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue. We have been operating for about 30 years, and what we do is amplify the work of Asian American writers and do so from what we like to call a radically inclusive ethos. What that means is we like to expand the definition not only of what it means to be Asian American, but also what it means to be a writer. We do so through two main channels. The first is our digital magazine, The Margins, where we publish a number of different verticals, such as Open City, which posts stories about Asian American communities in New York, as well as other marginalized or disenfranchised groups of stories, and the Trans-Pacific Literary Project, which posts translations of works from Asian languages that have not the most representation in the US, which is to say all of them. And we do our best, which we really do. And the second channel is programs, which is my domain, and we have three main programs. The first is community outreach. Hey, everyone. Community outreach, what community outreach is working with elder care centers and high schools to pair them with teaching artists that host extracurricular programs. We do so at New Design High School, Hunter College High School, Lenox Hill, and Hudson Guild Care Centers. Our second program is the fellowships, and we have two main fellowships. The first is called The Margins, and it is our main fellowship. It's about a year long. We give our fellows $5,000, residency time, and ballet arts, and that is my time. We also do events. Please reach out to us at aww.org if you have any questions. Appreciate you.
Let's go. Hi, my name is Edward Chang. I'm a photographer. I Instagram at Blind Drunken Monkey. I'm here to get you to come to my photo exhibit at Pearl River Martin Soho and buy a self-published book. It's based in Manhattan's Chinatown during COVID. From COVID to its return to normalcy, it's me reconnecting with my neighborhood, capturing pictures of artists, residents, friends, activists, and others, just caring for each other, pushing narratives for Chinatown during those strange times, as opposed to these strange times. And then it was just trying to figure things out together. So these are the images from the exhibit. They look much better in person because they're like darkroom hand-printed magical gems. So I'm hoping that someone out there will write a salacious review in the amp of this. I'm hoping that this book sells out. I'm going to be selling some books back there. I'm going to have promo cards back there. I'm going to be gallery sitting at Pearl River Mart this Saturday and every other Saturday until the end of the year. The show's up until January 12th, and then the book is also available online at Pearl River Mart, and UNB Books. And that's it. Mic drop. Do I thank
Hi, everyone. I'm Georges Bridges, and I'm from the Asian American Film Lab. We promote ethnic and gender diversity in the film industry. We do a lot of collaborations. One of our collaborations that I'm so proud of is our collaboration with Partnership with Children that helps disadvantaged youth in the city. We just recently had an event last night with them. So proud of the kids. A lot of them have gone on to college and done other great things. Right now, we just finished filming one of our films, Hey Ladies. You can check out our Film Lab Eventbrite. It's on Friday, January 24th at 4 p.m. And once again, it's on our Eventbrite, AsianAmericanFilmLab.com. We also do a bunch of other things, such as Unfinished Works, which is one of our oldest programs that if you're a writer, director, or you just have an idea and you need some type of feedback, if we select you, we provide a space where you can get feedback and hopefully improve your work, do some networking with some cinematographers, directors, or people that can direct you on how to get your project to where you want it to be. For any of our events, go to AsianAmericanFilmLab.com. We're always looking for volunteers and people to help out and people that have an interest in film. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Abigail Savage Liu, and I'm so happy to be here, and I'm going to tell you about my novel Livonia Chow Mein. It's my baby that I've been working on for 10 years. And I will tell you a little bit about what it's about. So it's a multi-generational novel. It takes place in the neighborhood of Brownsville, Brooklyn, and it explores, so it's following a restaurant-owning Chinese family, and it's exploring the relationship of that family to the Jewish and then Black and Puerto Rican residents of the neighborhood over the course of a century. So this is fiction, right? So why am I here? Oh, but it does draw a lot from both personal inspiration from my family. Yes, so you can see some photos. My family did run a Chinese restaurant for many decades in Brownsville. That's my dad, the little baby there. And I spent a lot of time in my youth speaking with my grandmother both about her immigrating to the United States as well as their lives in Brownsville. Also, I am a reporter, journalist, and have spent a lot of time covering different issues in Brownsville, which is how I learned the neighborhood's history as just an incredible, it's like kind of one of the centers of the Black Power movement. There was this amazing community control movement, and there still are so many incredible activists who have taught me so much about Black liberation in Brownsville. So really inspired me to try to not just tell my family story, but really talk about some important themes, including Black, Asian solidarity, different understandings of like what this country is about, what its roots are. And so it's coming out in 2026 with Simon & Schuster, so I want to, thank you. So I just wanted to invite you both to support the book, but also if you have ideas for how we can create dialogue between these communities and about important issues. That would be great.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rohan Jolie. I am a previous fellow at Asian American Writers Workshop. Hey. I'm also a previous Bandung resident via A4A. I'm also the founder of the Blasian March. We are a Black, Asian, and Blasian solidarity initiative through education on parallel experience with racism, as well as mutual celebration through art and culture. So I have two events that I want to plug y'all's way. So first up, which is an ongoing photo exhibit we have running through January 25th. This is Critical Connections. It is basically linking civil rights era photography from the George Stephanopoulos collection with modern day Blasian March photography. I think this is super important nowadays because this is the work we started in 2020 under the previous Donald Duck administration. So as we are going into the next year, I hope that this exhibit will help people better be reminded that we've done this before. We can do this again. We'll keep fighting no matter what. The second event I'd like to throw y'all's way. I didn't give out the flyer, I'm sorry, because I'm frazzled. It's fine. But this event is called We Will Not Swallow Bitter Fruit. It is a free dinner for the LGBT, Black, Asian, Pacifica community to grieve the post-election results as well as strategize and plan for our collective safety next year. This is taking place at the Apicha Community Health Center in Jackson Heights, 8211 37th Avenue, from 6 to 8 on this Friday, November 22nd. You can RSVP via our Instagram page or just show up. It's fine. Feel free to bring a dish and enjoy. Thank you so much.
All right, let's give a hand for all of our presenters from. Okay, so we're going to do it all over again, but now we're going to start with our second round of pictures. So our next featured presenter is a writer, Carrie Sun, born in China and raised in Michigan. Carrie holds an MFA in creative writing from the New School. Private Equity, a Memoir, is her first book and has been named a finalist for the New American Voices Award. So it's full of all sorts of juicy information and stories. I will let Carrie tell you more about it herself. Carrie. Yes, sorry, we don't have a mic stand, so it's a lot to hold. Great. You just say it in slide. Yeah.
Okay, just Hi everyone, I'm Carrie Sun. Thank you so much to A4. It's such an honor to be here. And thank you to all the other artists so far who've been telling their incredible stories. And today I think I want to talk about my journey to Memoir and kind of the publication process rather than, if you're interested in the Memoir, it's sold wherever books are sold, and so you can just pick it up that self. Or you can listen on Spotify for free. So I immigrated with my mom to America when I was 4 years old to meet my dad, who was in mid-Michigan at the time doing his graduate studies. And you know, my parents suffered a lot through the Cultural Revolution, and you know, in the 80s, China was just opening up, but while they were educated, they went to college, they were English professors in China. We still didn't have a lot of money, barely any money at all. And so these are photos from when I was 2 or 3, because I immigrated when I was 4. These are in China. Clearly, I have always had a love of writing. I'm doodling, but I'm writing in all those photos. And this is to say that, like, give me a pen and paper and I could entertain myself for hours, even when I was 2 or 3. All that doodling led to my first book. I wrote when I was 8 years old. It's a novel, and I think what's telling and interesting to me, and particularly I think relevant for the Asian American community, is that I'm supposed to be Erica, and my best friend is supposed to be Min Young. We're supposed to be Asian, and somehow I illustrated them as clearly white people, you know? And so by age 8, somehow I had already internalized a confused message about, you know, maybe like I had to wash my Asianness from my story. I didn't deserve to be on the cover. Yeah, so you know, it's very interesting to me now. You know, I had those ideas when I was 8. And around then, I also became interested in money because my parents had very little of it when we immigrated. We were very, very poor. They were doing their graduate studies, working odd jobs. You know, they were teaching English in China, and when they came to America, they were dishwashers, yard workers, like all the menial jobs. And to give me a chance at the American dream, to support me and give me a chance to make a better life. And all this to say, my upbringing was a extreme struggle, like at least from my own perspective. And to survive both my home domestic environment and also you know, society, school, friends, even though I wasn't really allowed to have friends, all of that, I kind of repressed myself, and I just shut off all my emotions, and I was just, I mean, my mom had told me any second I wasn't studying was a second wasted. So, that's how, next slide. 20 years later, this is my New York origin story. I moved to New York, I was 29, and I moved to New York for a job. Sorry, I have like so many things to keep track of. I'm gonna put the clicker down.
You can yell next slide too.
Oh, I can yell next slide too? Okay, great, okay. I think I'll do that, okay.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of, at 29, I wake up and I'm like obsessed with this question, what do you do when you can't shake the feeling that you've wasted your life? And in the 20 years from the previous, in between the previous slide and this slide, I got degrees in math and finance. I worked in finance. I loved it at first, then hated it. Then thought I might pivot to another career. I didn't know what. I was clearly very lost. I was in my mid-20s. I started business school, ended up hating that, dropped out. Needless to say, my parents were extremely unhappy with me. They, you know, my dad quite literally yelled in my face multiple times. My mom told me I was nothing. I mean, they had sacrificed everything to, you know, have me like have a better life, and I was in their mind wasting all of it. But I just didn't want to be in the path that I was on before. And so, but why did I spend decades on a path that like I ended up disliking? And well, I never thought that being a writer or an artist of any kind was in the cards for me. Even though, you know, those photos in China, I like love that, but I just never entertained it for even 1 second. And so, yeah, that's, I was burning through my savings trying to change careers. And changing careers and pivoting is an extremely expensive process. You still have to pay your living, and I never had time to take any classes in college beyond math and finance because I was double majoring. And so after I dropped out of business school, I started taking classes in philosophy, English literature, creative writing. I loved all of it, and I wanted to do an MFA. However, you know, I said I don't come from money, and I was burning through my savings. I needed a day job, and I think there's no shame in needing a day job. I needed a day job, and what this photo was taken at the start of the day job that I took. That starts the book, and I was doing a summer fiction workshop at NYU when a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, I have this opportunity for you, do you want a job? And at that time I was a little desperate for a job and money, and so I said yes, and that's the start of my book. Next slide. And so this is a quote from the book, and it really just has to do with my parents. My parents sacrificed everything for me, like I said. They gave me opportunities, but not freedom. I had never actually felt free, I realized, in my entire life. And the reason is because every opportunity they gave me, I felt like I had to take the one that offered me a chance at maximizing upward mobility. There was just no way I was going to, you know, take everything that they had invested in me and then do something super risky and unstable that doesn't pay well, and I felt like I couldn't do that to my parents. But then I realized that that the system of, my childhood, I think, was not only really difficult, full of pain, anxiety, and suffering, also traumatic. And the system of trauma and the system of capitalism, I realized while writing the book, are one and the same. They both exploit and feed on people who are alienated from themselves, and people who seek kind of a reward that's forever just out of reach, and are like working so hard to reach this carrot, whether it be an emotional carrot to kill your trauma, or a financial carrot in the case of capitalism. And so you're on this treadmill and just running and running and running and trying to get somewhere, and you can't stop. And that's kind of the story that's in my book. And so how do you get off, and how do you walk your own path at your own pace? Next slide, please. So this is the end of the book. My boss in the book, I'm exhausted, totally spent at the job that I have in the book, and I quit on my last day at work. I'm in a meeting with him, and he asks me, can I give you some advice? And I say, well, of course, sure. He's this rich white man, billionaire. And I say yes, and he very calmly, like no hesitation, just says, I don't see you as a writer. And that moment really, I told my boss in the book that I always thought this job was a day job. I always wanted to be a writer. I thought it was a stepping stone so that I could, have a little more stability while I pursued my dreams. But I think it raises the question of who in America gets to determine their own destiny, and who has the right to self-determination. And the adage that you can be anyone or anything you want to be seems to only apply to certain people. And even as, this as late as 2016, he's telling me this. Next slide, please. Okay, so I quit finance forever. I also quit my boyfriend at the time. All I wanted to do was work on the craft of writing. And I felt so behind everyone who had majored in English literature in college, or who had spent their early years working on this career. And I also felt very behind those who had a leg up or connections. And so, this I kind of did a brute force thing, which is the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours to mastery. I quite simply did 10,000 hours divided by 8 hours a day. I could get there in 3.5 years. I could master writing in 3.5 years. So, 2018, I started my MFA, and then it was literally 3.5 years, a little under actually, when I delivered the first full draft of my book to my editor. And so, so you can see some Post-its there. I got my agent at the start of my MFA, and originally I pitched her on a narrative critique of capitalism through the lens of my experiences, but it was not really a memoir per se. It was probably more like narrative nonfiction, focused on other people and less myself and my story. And when we sold it, the Post-its were me mapping out my book and the themes. That's in 2020. And you'll see all the Post-its. I'm absent from the Post-its. And the tiny Post-its, the tiny ones, there's dad and mom, but I'm absent. So it really tells me that even in 2020, I somehow didn't believe that I belonged in my own story. And actually I chose my editor because she was the one that fiercely believed in the importance of my personal story. She said that my external story, my work story, didn't really make sense until I told the full story of my parents and my relationship with them. Because why was I working so hard in the first place? Why was I burning myself out? And what was I trying to prove? And to whom? Next slide, please. Yeah, so these are all photos of a few places from which I wrote. The first one is, you can see some Post-its there, 2020, a co-working space. The middle one is 2021. My husband was doing an artist residency. And I got to tag along, and that's where I turned in the first full draft of my book to my editor. And the third one is in 2022, 2023, when I did a year-long residency in Switzerland. And that was an extremely difficult time because that's where I shared my book with my mom for the first time. In my 20s, I had started to deviate from the path that she wanted for me, and so we were already at odds, extreme odds, over my life decisions and choices. That wasn't even the most difficult part. So the most difficult part was her reading the book. And I had to fly her into Switzerland and just like have a face-to-face about it because, well, I wanted to make sure nothing was lost in translation, even though she reads English and speaks English well. And I think the most difficult part was her coming to accept that I have a separate reality and truth from hers. It's not even good or bad, just totally separate, you know? And I didn't actually need her to agree with me. I just wanted her to acknowledge that my truth about myself may differ from her truth about me. And this is really related to my upbringing. She gave everything for me to have a happy, easy, normal childhood. And she insists that I had a happy, easy, normal childhood. I didn't have a happy, easy, normal childhood. And that has nothing to do with how much of a wonderful mother she is and how she gave me everything. It's just my truth, you know? And so it was a lot of weeks of yelling and then crying and then tears of sadness and then ultimately tears of joy and connection and understanding. And so 30 years later, I published my first book. The Money Tree, a novel, became private equity. And so, so my friends send me photos of my book in the wild, and I especially love the one of next to Elon Musk. People in power try to control the narrative. They try to control the narrative not only about themselves, but about people around them. And so this photo reminds me that our stories, like Alvin and so many other people were saying, from those who may not be white, not rich, or not men, our stories matter. And not only do they matter, but like, I'm not relegated to, you know, a supporting character in someone else's story. I deserve to be a central character. And that's not a photo of me, but I'm technically on the cover, you know, and it's not a white person whitewashed on the cover. Next slide, please. And so I wanted to talk about like memoir and the process and the publishing journey. And part of it is I don't want to only focus on the positives. I want to share some of the responses I've gotten and the full range of it. And first, there are some critical ones that people actually tell me to my face, usually during like interviews of some kind. And I don't think they mean to be critical, but actually I get a lot from this because it just tells me how someone is reacting to the work. And you can see the categories up there. How could you not know better? Like, you have the world's smallest violin playing for you. The fourth one is really funny and very interesting to me because it was an older Chinese mom who emails me to tell me that my views are wrong and she's trying to correct my view. And she's trying to correct my view on this idea of, in the book I talk about the idea of Tinghua in Chinese, Mandarin. And it really, it's an interesting concept because it definitely means to obey your parents, to listen to what your parents are saying, and to be an obedient daughter. But her whole point is my point in the book. It is also the highest compliment a parent can pay a child. But sometimes when a child seeks that compliment and that honor too much, it can be you could be at the cost of yourself and your true self. And so that's my whole point. And so I didn't think she needed to correct me, but nevertheless, that's perfectly okay because she had a response, and that's perfectly okay because next slide. I know it's impossible to read, but for those of you who will see the slide later, you can get more details. But the reason I write is for community, and there are so many Asian and Asian American people who have written into me sharing similar stories of feeling like lost at some point in their career. And it's not all transitioning from like consulting or finance to something more artistic, but it's just the idea that like, you know, whose story are you really living? And you might really respect and love your parents, but are you really living for yourself, for your parents, for society? Or like, how do you really go on that journey of self-discovery and ultimately end up choosing a career that is going to be meaningful to you? And so yeah, this just happens to be a lot. Everyone who wrote it was Chinese there, and I believe the struggle to know yourself and know who you are and what you want to do is a universal one, and it's never ending. I'm still on this journey. I don't really have any answers, but I try to write a memoir that is truthful to my experiences and all of it, the good and the bad, a lot of the bad. And I strongly believe in activism and the project of building a better world. And I think that that project starts first with building a better relationship with yourself. And that's the story I wrote in my book, and that's my journey to memoir. Thank you. If any of these topics are of interest, I'd love to connect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie. That was great. Another hand for Carrie. We are going to move on to our second round of 2-minute pitches. So I would love for this round of people to come up and get ready to speak in order. So Concrete, UC, Bernetta, Pachi, and start with Concrete. Oh, okay, UC. Okay. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name's UC Lynn. It's a pleasure to be here. So my project is a poetry collection called Flesh Disobedient that explores the capacity of language to transform loneliness and longing into lyric. Some of the poems portray my experience as a daughter growing up with Chinese parents who longed for but never received a male heir, while other poems explore intimacy and desire in erotic relationships. These poems celebrate the power of transformation by giving voice to the things that I once thought were unspeakable. And I will read a couple poems from the collection. First, Memory. When I picture the many feasts of my childhood, the men are already eating, bearded faces sucking marrow from bone. The women bring out from the kitchen more dishes, then resume cooking. Steam rises, and I think this is love. The women eat last when food no longer looks pretty. Chopsticks click over scraps. The mother fetches the grandfather more rice, the uncle belches. The men laugh. A trickle of sauce dribbles down the father's chin. And it occurs to me, years later, that what they were eating was power. And I will read one more poem. This is a haiku series, Self-Portrait as Masturbator. Come swim in me, tread upon shores of cenotes unburied. In the water is a sheep led by the horns, a hand there, white-knuckled, grasping. But it's you blinking through her slow lashes. You had convinced yourself, or were convinced, that out there is where fear lives, walking in a body not your own. And if you kept your head down, you might not meet its hollow mouth skimming over your smooth surfaces. It's smaller than you'd imagined, the red curve where God's knife sliced through trying to draw the perfect circle. You're the head that emerges on the other side of love, the eye of 1,000 lids opening, searching. I've arrived. I've arrived. Thank you.
So hi everyone, I'm Bernetta and I'm an emerging artist from Hong Kong, currently based here in New York. I've been painting and making art all my life, but really only started to take it seriously during COVID, during which I found painting to be a place of solace and a way to find myself. So for all the artists here, I'm sure that you agree that the act of creating art is a deeply personal process, something like a memoir unfolding onto a canvas. So today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my recent debut exhibition, Portraits in Solitude, which closely ties into the theme of memoir. So this exhibition memorializes the isolation and solitude that I experienced when I first moved here to New York. And through these works, I wanted to challenge people to look inwards and really engage with their own conversations and narratives and come to appreciate solitude in a new light. So I'm really inspired by the form of portraiture as I see it as a form of visual memoir. For example, this is a portrait of my close friend V. The painting is titled Valerie, which is the anglicized name and persona that she took and adopted when she moved to the US from Vietnam. And so through this portrait, I wanted to capture the delicate balance of her confident public persona and her vulnerable inner self. I also wanted to take portraiture and use it as a form of resonance. So this painting is called Quiet Night Thoughts, which is a visual interpretation of a famous verse from Chinese poetry. And I drew inspiration from the format of a long traditional Chinese scroll painting to evoke a sense of nostalgia while posing a reminder of my roots. I also painted this when I was severely homesick. And lastly, I view the self-portrait as a form of deep self-reflection. The self-portrait is a really challenging format for me because it really forces me to look inwards and reflect on a moment in time. So in this self-portrait, I want to convey how isolating it feels when you're utterly uninspired and stuck as an artist. And so that's a little bit about my latest show. I'd love to connect and collaborate with any artists in the crowd here. And setting up this independent show was a really great learning experience for me, and it was a forcing mechanism for me to really push myself as an artist. And I'd be really thrilled to work with any artists in the crowd here and follow along for my artist journey on my Instagram. So thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Prachi Gupta. I am a journalist and an author of the memoir, They Called Us Exceptional and Other Lies That Raised Us. That is the hardcover, and the paperback just came out in this past August. I'll just give you a little bit of background about me because I actually really relate to Carrie's experience. I started out in management consulting when I graduated college. I always wanted to be a writer and an artist. I'm also a painter. But that was just not something that was, feasible or really allowed or encouraged. I went into management consulting, and I was pretty miserable, and then a lot of things were happening in my family life that made me more miserable, and I decided I needed to get out and just really pursue the thing that made me feel alive, because not much made me feel alive at that moment in my life, and that was writing. And so I quit my job, was unemployed, worked some odd jobs, then I got an internship at Gawker and became a writer. And can we go to the next slide? And then a few years later, I was covering the 2016 election for Cosmo, and I guess my career highlight until this book was that Donald Trump called me a non-intelligent reporter and lashed out at me after I interviewed Ivanka Trump and challenged her on her father's very flawed family leave policy. Thank you. So I haven't really talked much about the book, and I have 26 seconds. So I'll just go back to, next slide. The genesis for this book, which is really about the unraveling of my family, that on the outside we looked picture perfect. We encapsulated the American dream, but on the inside we were falling apart. And it's really a book about all the things that we learn to hide in order to project the image of success, especially in Asian immigrant families, because we are often the face of that dream and used to propel that dream forward. And this is sort of the essay that started it all. Stories about my brother on Jezebel, and that helped me realize that there's a real conversation we need to be having about mental health, masculinity, gender, identity, and that's where it started. So thank you.
Oh, that's me. So,
you're
I realized someone asked me to read for them. But while I'm doing this, feel free to, anyone who wants to do 30-second pitches.
Yeah,
I feel like,
well, I was just gonna let you read
You
it,
want
and
me-
then I'll go back up.
yeah.
Alright, do you want the mic?
I would much rather be back here.
The mic back there?
No, it's fine. Okay. This is from Anu Hodges, who created a workbook for memoir writers. Not that one. I'm not going to use the microphone. She wanted me to read this. Many of us carry stories that pulse beneath the surface of our daily lives. Stories of migration and belonging, of cultural preservation and transformation, of ancestral wisdom and contemporary voice. These stories deserve to be told, and more importantly, they deserve to be excavated with care and intention. This is why she has created a workbook specifically designed for artists and writers working on their memoirs. Sundara, Sanskrit for beautiful place, embodies the core philosophy of soulful unity, finding threads, nurturing diversity, celebrating textures, ancestral rest, honoring the pause, and artistry, crafting stories with intention. The workbook offers 100 prompts. It guides you through life's pivotal moments, connects you with Sundara philosophy, and roots your story within your community's influence. These are just a few examples of the prompts from the section for creatives who remember, and for Sundara for community. And this workbook is just the beginning. They want to invite everyone to join their writing retreats where prompts come alive in community, and understanding that financial accessibility is crucial. They offer fiscal sponsorship opportunities for artists who wish to attend the retreats. And you can visit the website for more information. And as a bonus for today, Sundara is offering a free download of the workbook to participants. You can take a photo of this QR code for this
This is not a microphone.
If you want it to be, it can be. All right, let's just give a hand to our pitchers in this second group. Thank you so much. Please come on up. And so right now, if anybody is so inclined and would like to share something, you can just do a 30-second pitch. If anybody's interested, just come on up and put your name and your Instagram handle there so that we can make sure to share it with people afterwards. Yeah, the pen should be up there. Yeah.
It's so dark.
Sorry. So we'll just go in that order. So once you come on up here, we ask that you say your name, and then I will start the 30 seconds, and then you can give us your pitch. But feel free to come on up and get your free workbook. So, all right. You ready?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna, okay.
Yeah, you can start. So
Sure.
let me, you can just say your name, and let me just get the
timer. Yeah, do the thing.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Annie Tan. I am a writer. I'm working on a memoir. I'm a cousin of Vincent Chin, so I'm writing about, learning about his story, but actually I'm learning more about my heritage and language loss and trying to write from a place that's not shameful, guilty, around not knowing my languages when my parents don't know English. So I would love to talk to people here around just your experiences of language and how to write them on the page. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vicky Leona Nguyen. I am a composer, visual artist, and performance artist. And I just wanted to talk about my piece that I'm having in January 18th at Tenry. And it is settings of Teresa Hakyung Cha's poetry, especially about multiplicity and the transformative experience of kind of understand who I was, and especially all these identities that culminate into my life. We want to have some people in conversation for that show, so if you're interested, please come talk to me. Bye.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily and I'm here representing House of Chow today. We are a dance company that tells stories of Asian identity and experience using hip-hop dance, martial arts, and Asian folk dances. We're excited to invite you to our performance, The Woman in Red, the Child in Blue. It's a dance theater piece that tracks a mother and daughter whose healing and freedom are intimately intertwined. We're running 6 shows from tomorrow, Thursday, until Sunday with specially themed discussions after and discounts for all AAPI identifying and artists. So come to me for postcards and QR codes and all the links after. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Shazad. I make a fashion company, but I wrote a poem that is related to the fashion company that I wanted to share. Zorsay was born, Zorsay, louder in Urdu and Hindi, was born on the dance floor. I started writing this outside the bathroom at Knockdown Center, surrounded by bodies in motion, seeking their own communion. Zorsay was born with the Patriot Act, house music, and the communal rebellion it brought, voter registration drives and prayer halls. Zorsay came from a bunch of British people who said, let's teach those brown folks some manners. When are we supposed to be taught? And you can hear the rest if you come by me.
All right. Well, okay, one more hand for all of everybody tonight, all these great stories. Thank